life, man, I've decided to be. Everything I needed will come naturally in my lifetime. My lifetime, tunnel vision is right in front of me. Blinded some distractions are far away from me in my lifetime. My lifetime, Dragon out of my eye. If I was blind, of course I would mind. Fate would be mine, can't argue with the guy. See my name in lights, accepting what is mine, cause I'm in beat to the lies. If it's too hot outside for me now, I'm chilling making noise till the sun comes down. I won't go till my name's called out. I only go till the sun in my lifetime. In my lifetime, I'm looking for something deep inside my mind. My lifetime, in this lifetime, I'm looking for something.
Good morning, friends. Good morning. Good morning. It's Monday.
This lifetime,
How are we all doing this morning? Now and there, coming from a man like Zach Oki, track entitled Lifetime. We are live on the Cubcam YouTube channel. Just gone 2 minutes past 10 here. Out to everyone who's locked in already. I've seen a few people floating around a little bit earlier than normal, which is very enjoyable indeed. So, today, we've got Mofaux on the show. I'm really looking forward to today. It's going to be a really enjoyable one. We've got some absolute bangers in the bag as well. It's going to be a very enjoyable show all around because we've had some good news and some bad news over the weekend. Obviously, there's a lot of horrible stuff going on. And this is one of my ways of coping. This is my coping mechanism, shall we say. What I'm going to be asking people a lot this week is what their coping mechanisms are, how they're staying busy, how they're finding new things to do, how they're staying entertained during this time when we really do all need to be kind of staying inside, to be honest with you, going out as little as possible. But what we're going to be talking about today across a number of different topics is we're going to be looking at the new Rick and Morty trailer, which looks really, really good. We're going to be looking at The Weeknd apparently writing and starring in an episode of American Dad. We're going to be looking at the Marvel dates being pushed back. We're going to run through this week's guests as well, whilst also looking at the Good News Live blog, which is something I've seen pop up on a fair few different channels. It's basically a good list of where you can find some good information, and we're going to be running through the information they put up on there every single day. So there we go. It's going to be a good one, a good positive start to the week. Anyway, that is the plan that we're going to be running with. And there is still loads of positivity to talk about. There's loads of good music being released. There's loads of good online activity. There's loads of people studying and coming up together with new skills and finding new ways of coping, which is very exciting stuff. And of course, we did have Fresh Fridays on, guess what day? Friday, where we did look through loads of new music, and a load of those tracks have made it onto this week's playlist. I don't tend to run music on this show in playlist format because really there's not really much need, you know what I mean? I can just kind of dip in and out of different songs that I'm enjoying across the week, and there is loads of good stuff out there, you know what I mean? There's a lot of people currently have not got a lot to do, meaning that there is a lot of music being released. There's a lot of stuff in people's back catalogues as well, which is actually finally seeing release, which we wouldn't necessarily have got to see before, which is very exciting for me because I love seeing people's back catalogues. I like seeing what people have had in the locker for a while because it shows you a lot about them as an artist. So we opened up with a track from Zach Oki entitled Lifetime. That was in the Fresh Friday conversation last week, and we did have we had a huge winner last week for Fresh Fridays, which we're going to be jumping into a little bit later on. For now, though, we're going to get into this one from let's get into this one. Waste No Time. This one coming from Innovision, featuring Million Stars. Fresh reggae music to kick us off this morning. There's loads of stuff on the way, so please do stick around. We did hit 100 subs over the weekend, so a massive shout out to everyone who has been getting involved in the channel, leaving their comments, looking into this show, because it's a very enjoyable thing that I do. I love doing this show to pieces, I've got to say. It's a really good way of me staying active more than anything else. I do normally run a breakfast show from 7 till 10 in the morning over on Trickstar Radio, but obviously due to current circumstances, the station is on temporary closure until everything is back to a more normal way of running. So until then, you can catch me here Monday to Friday in the cave, which as you can see is my room, my home studio. So what we're going to be doing next, jumping into this one, don't go anywhere, it's Cubcam TV, youtube.com/Cubcam TV at long last.
Greetings in the name
I just love it when your first tune just doesn't run. It's a DJ nightmare right there.
Give thanks for life. Don't bother, I ain't gonna waste your time. Listen up, youths. Truth will set you free, no matter follow, no lie. One life to live, as I would say. Income in the Mount Card, in addition, alongside pain, I Mr. Million style. Talk to the youth.
Every time I take another breath, not a note here. To live another day and this your life. Opportunity can tighten up every connection and make us much stronger for the fight. Sometimes you need to roll that dice, no reward without risking. The right move, checkmate, you own the kingdom. You're giving a day to go, enjoy every moment. Well, might not be perfect, but just conquer 110%.
Fresh reggae flavours this morning.
With them I wake up, strive to live positive. We not gonna let them action take away from the vision. Well, my core reaction is my own intuition. La la la, 110% me I live. And every day I wake up, strive to live positive. We not gonna let them action take away from the vision. Well, my core reaction is my own intuition. La la la, don't waste no time. Don't waste no time. 'Cause you never know just where you're at. No, 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 you never know just where you're at. No, don't waste no time. Don't waste no time. Yeah, 'cause you're never gonna get it back. No, 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 you're never gonna get it back. No,
Hey, living at the know, you want to live in at the know. Life is a movie, you the star in at the show. Once you fear the Lord, then give you wisdom to know what to do and where you really supposed to go. Some see life like a whole heap of time to kill. Judge our work never stops, so no time to chill. Laziness is just like a poisonous pill. Flesh is weak, but the spirit make you find your will. Do your daily duties and don't waste no time. Your eyes wide open, but you're gone like you're blind. Truth will set you free while the devil keep blind. I know life rough, but you got to keep trying. 'Cause you will never get back the time where you lost. So better praise and show up with died on the cross. The only one perfect without any flaws. Keep your commandments and laws. When you rising in the morning, you have to give thanks for life. Don't bother, I ain't gonna waste your time. Listen up, youths.
Don't waste no time. Don't waste no time. 'Cause you never know just where you're at. No, 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 you never know just where you're at. No, don't waste no time.
One life to live is I would
Don't
say.
waste no time. Yeah, you're never gonna get it back. No, 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 you're never gonna get it back. No.
Fresh reggae flavours on that one from Inner Vision, track featuring Million Stars entitled Don't Waste No Time. That's what we're talking about this morning. So what I wanted to get into first, we're going to do good news to begin with. Unfortunately, there is a little bit of sad news that I do want to talk about a little bit later on, but we're going to get into that in a bit once we're all in, once we've all kind of looked at what's going on. So there's a new thing that has popped up on Mixmag. Now this is called the Good News Live blog, and it's basically titled Positive Updates from Around the World of Dance Music, and it's daily updates covering fundraising, artist support, charity drives, special releases, live streams, and more. So the Digital Mirage Festival is something that has been looked on here. That takes place this coming weekend. By the looks of things, also on there, MJ Cole's Ambient album dropped yesterday. The National Hype Service has been launched, which is essentially a series of live mix events that are going to be taking place in virtual club environments, which you'll be able to see floating around very, very soon. That's something that South Point are involved in, so you'll be seeing stuff from us on there as well. So, as well as that, there were a couple of other bits. There was a Friday night show with Corrupt FM. There was a Tale of Us Call for Unity, and there was a Q&A with Disclosure, which all took place. I'm going to be looking at this every morning. I'm looking at the evening's past events so you can see what's going on and see there is still a lot of positivity floating around, which is really good. I like this from Mixmag. I feel like Right now, I think what we need is having information in one place, you know, having information simplified and put into one area so that we can, like, intake everything at once more than everything else, rather than having to, like, search around and go, oh, this is a good bit of news, this is a good bit of news. Same way that I tried to do with that new production article that I put together, where we kind of could find all of the individual pieces of good news and good artist information for new production tools and offers on production tools in one place, you know what I mean? Rather than having to spend hours and hours and hours searching, put everything in one place. That's the best way to do things at the moment. So we're going to keep the good vibes rolling music-wise. We're going to get into this one next. This one coming from the sounds of Jelani Blackman and Big Zoo. This is one of my favourite tunes I've heard in a hot minute, and this one goes by the name of P2P. So we're going to get into this one, and do not forget we have got Mofaux coming up in around 20 minutes or so. I'm really looking forward to that conversation. For now, though, this one came second for Fresh Fridays this week. We are going to be getting into the winner in just a while, but don't go anywhere. It's Cubcam TV, youtube.com/Cubcam TV. If you haven't subscribed already, please do.
Check. B.I. And it's the B.I. Yeah. And it's the B.I. Yeah. I can hear them lot talking loads again. Me, I'm on action, that's what I show to them. Anything that I want, I go to get. Cause I put in the work, I murk, I go berserk. And yeah, them man, they know the set. Been levs when I step to show respect. I got the tech, get swept, I throw the leg. If you try block man, then I'll blow the shake. Out the way, out of sight, out of mind. Grow the ways, yeah, that's no cap. If you try something, you get wrapped. So behave, then any hype, that's right, man, load the grave. Hey, what you know about B.I.G. on joints today? I hold my lane. Own what I make, same way you sold your same waste, man. I'ma be a G till I'm old and grey. ZW told them and they know the name. Do it for my fam and them man can hold the fame. Roast in the dark, man, learn and grow from pain. So I went for the madness, but I didn't go insane. It's only me that controls my brain. Still kick back and man, roll the grain. Chat bear, you don't want no smoke in your face.
Why you so bored? Shut up. Yo, what's not a thing, my brother? Like, why you so chatty? Feeling so soft like bar. Can you relax, take time? Why you so angry when I get mine? Ooh, when they chat shit, never recline. Now I'm in an active till I decline. No, don't rewind, no, never recap. Said I get involved, but I relapse. If I say that shit, then I mean that. Cause my life never weaker than kneecaps. No, I don't care. Red tear, I go clear. You stay here like you stay there. I make them stare. I'm revving high gear, but flow with the gear. I see truth, I see real. So many mansions, so many mills, so many people, so many fills. But man, I see make your opinion chill. Just truth like red pills. Had more fun than you had all meals. I've been in the races, I played all wheels. I never knew for nobody still.
You know what it is, man? You know what it is, man. Listen, I swear, every conversation I have here, I could be talking about money, I could be talking about relationships, I could be talking about mental health, I could be talking about technology. It goes to the same ending point nowadays, but the internet, everybody's net is integrated.
Better go when I DM me, I make her see God like DMT. Hey, yo BMT, I make them run wild like DMC. Then PC your face like PCP. Who said I went a deep MC? I shut down a show like EMP.
And when we come true, it's all B.I. Larger than life, shells we rise. Man come far from the plans and the vibes in the block with the guys. Man will be sitting with nothing if I never tried. If they told you I never worked, then they're telling lies. I've been shell of a time. Hold man back, but I'm dead in the spine. The try war that's long, man, I get in the slime. And you don't know about the bag, you gotta get in your grind.
Getting this time, do them in a bag, don't draw. Got 1,000 and for your head top, desktop jam pack, make crack like Pat. More O's in a deal, get snatched like that.
They don't want man back on a track like that. If a man talks smack, then it's done, it's a rap. We ain't into the chat, get slapped to the side. If you act like you're bad, man, a real, that's a fact.
That's fact, man, I better brace for the impact. Never live an ego intact like rap. Left holes in a soul, no hope, no cap. My brain like a runaway train, no cap.
Control the game, run away with the match. Lick down doors, I'll play with a latch. Fake don't stick out the hole of your batch. If they don't want to give me the powers, then I'm gonna snatch.
There we go. That one there coming from Jelani Blackman and Big Zoo, one of my favourite collaborations I've heard this year. I've been saying it for a while. I'm a massive Jelani Blackman fan. I'm a massive Big Zoo fan as well. To see both of those linked together on a collaboration was very cool to see this weekend. That one is the track that did come second in Fresh Fridays. So we're not just running the same music as we did on Friday. We are going to be looking at a couple of other bits as well. Do not worry. There is loads of good stuff on the way. What we want to look at next, though, is a bit of sad news. We do need to take a couple of seconds out to say rest in peace to Bill Withers. He did pass away this weekend. One of the most influential singer-songwriters and in general one of just the most influential musicians of his time. Came out with some incredible music over the years, some incredible timeless music as well. So we just want to say rest in peace to Bill Withers this morning. So, as well as that, though, we are going to be looking at a bit of positive news because we want to balance out the negatives with the positives. There's a lot of negative news floating around right now, which is only natural. That's the sort of time frame we are in. So, what I want to be doing is, as I said, balancing it out with positive stuff as well. So, something I've seen pop up, which is very interesting indeed. The Weeknd apparently is to write and star in an episode of American Dad. He can now add script writing to his list of numerous achievements over the past couple of years, alongside obviously being involved in sort of, should we say acting, because he acts in all of his music videos? I don't know. It's a bit of a stretch, I suppose. But he definitely does have a kind of unique take on music videos a lot of the time. But yeah, after announcing that he co-wrote an episode for Seth MacFarlane's most popular show, American Dad, it's been announced that he has done it. So it's looking where it's going to happen regardless. The Canadian singer took to Instagram to share the news with his fans by posting a picture with the episode's co-writer Joel Hurwitz. The caption photo, me and this guy wrote an episode of American Dad, before adding that he will also be voicing his own character in the animated sitcom. That's going to be amazing. It's also been reported that The Weeknd will also feature a new original track featured in the episode. The 30-year-old Blinding Lights singer recently dropped his fourth studio album, After Hours. If you haven't listened to After Hours yet, please do go and check it out, because it's a phenomenal album, and it's very much good to see The Weeknd back to his best. As more than anything else, I missed The Weeknd. Like, if anyone's doing that daily song challenge, there's going to be a lot of tracks on there from me that are The Weeknd. Realistically, it's just what's going to happen. But yeah, the new series of American Dad starts on the 13th of April. The Weeknd's episode is expected to drop on the 4th of May. So there we go. It's just over a week away, man. The new episode of the new series of American Dad. Is it a week away? It's exactly a week away today. So there we go. See, there's good stuff on the way. There's new Rick and Morty on the way very soon as well. We're going to be talking about the trailer for that very soon. But yeah, very interesting stuff to see The Weeknd is starring in the new season of American Dad. I love to hear that. I think that's fantastic news, primarily because I love The Weeknd and I love American Dad. I've been rewatching a few of the older episodes of American Dad at the minute because, let's be honest, this is very much a time when you've got a bit of spare time on your hands. Everyone right now has a little bit of spare time on their hands, especially in the evenings. Obviously, we're not going out. We're not going to do necessarily the same sort of social activities. We're not going out to the gym as much. We're not going out to do sport. I haven't played football in about a month, which is very sad. I'm missing playing football quite heavily. I can't wait to get back out there. But you know the rules. Stay inside, and it will all be over a lot sooner if everyone follows those rules. So let's keep the good vibes rolling with bangers after bangers after bangers, as we do. This one, heavyweight flavors coming from Clips, Miss Banks, JK, and Miss Dynamite. This one, it goes by the name of, again, it's Jungle Flavors, and it's a high energy dose. That's what we need this morning. It's Monday morning, people. It's Cubcam TV. This is Brekky In The Cave with myself, Kovu.
How I miss again. Long time in a come again. Every time it touch on money reading problem. Wanga tell your bedroom, say wanga tell your friend we are the remedy, we are the thing. Me say again. Long time in a come again. Every time it touch on money reading problem. Understand, I know you like it. Hear them ball up, pull it up and rewind it. Hey yo, they ain't never better than me. You ain't never met a real killer MC. Name hold weight, that's 100 MT. Lick off a shot and leave the clip empty. I am mean, you ain't messing with the team. Brothers loving off my thing, they see me in their dream. Busting out the jeans, get it popping like the seam. Laser beam, you ain't messing with the team. How I miss again. Long time in a come again. Every time it touch on money reading problem. Wanga tell your bedroom, say wanga tell your friend we are the remedy, we are the thing. Me say again. Long time in a come again. Every time it touch on money reading problem. Understand, I know you like it. Hear them ball up, pull it up and rewind it.
Let it go, let it go, let it go.
Boom. Every time they see me when I step into the room, pulling out the camera, see the flash and do the zoom. You know it's a madness when I'm mashing up the tune. But I'll spin your favourite rapper, man, I'll send him to the moon. Long time.
Monday morning energy crew, that's what this one's all about.
Still like actor, been a trapper, been a goon. This me by the morning, they won't live to see the noon. Ba-ba-boom, ba-ba-boom.
How I miss again. Long time in a come again. Every time it touch on money reading problem. Wanga tell your bedroom, say wanga tell your friend we are the remedy, we are the thing. Me say again. Long time in a come again. Every time it touch on money reading problem. Understand, I know you like it.
Hear them ball up, pull it up and rewind it. See me, see the hit, gyal a come. See me, say me just can't done.
thing to me say again. Long time in a come again. Every time it touch on bunny reading problem.
Now I'm getting ready for this one. It does just randomly stop. There we go. You see, it just stops out of nowhere. It's bizarre how it does that. But anyway, we are live on the Cub Cam TV YouTube channel. Thanks to the Locked In crew. Make sure you are leaving a little comment in the chat box. Let's keep these unsociable times as sociable as possible. We are blessed with this wonderful tool we call the internet, so we can keep in contact with each other. To be honest, I'm actually speaking to my friends a lot more than I normally would, I'm finding. More so because we're not taking that sort of thing of social contact for granted anymore. We are kind of very much enjoying the company of our friends much, much more, I'd say, because we're not seeing people on a regular basis. We're looking forward to kind of like Skype parties and Facebook Live parties and Zoom parties. And we've been doing a lot. We played another game of Cards Against Humanity this weekend. As well as that, we did. I was on house party every now and then, just jumping in and out of parties, just being very sociable. You know what I mean? As per, I'm in the Discord group that we run quite regularly, which is just getting weirder and weirder and weirder. But it's a coping mechanism, you know. And that's what we're trying to talk about today. We're trying to talk about coping mechanisms as much as everything, because no matter what anyone says, including myself on this, I like being on my ones. I'm happy being on my ones. But this is now moving into an extended period. I haven't seen really any of my friends. I haven't seen anyone in about 3.5 weeks for me. I started a week early, so it's it is a strain. You know what I mean? It is a strain. To say it wouldn't be to say it isn't a strain is a lie. And we all love our friends. You know what I mean? We live for our friends. We live for the sociable times that we are. It's the modern way. We are very much constantly looking to each other for support, for contact, for excitement, for fun, and more than anything else, we do rely on social contact. So these are troubling times. So we're going to be looking at coping mechanisms as we move forward. One coping mechanism I'm seeing a lot of people doing is throwing themselves into series and films and learning, just throwing themselves at things they wouldn't normally get the time to do. One thing I've seen pop up this morning: Pinky in the Brain is returning. Fantastic news. Animaniacs actor Rob Paulson, confirms. He's basically come out and said, get ready for a burst of nostalgia, which will take you right back to your childhood. Saturday mornings, juice box in hand, with all your favourite cartoons lined up and ready to go. Hulu is now set to reboot Animaniacs, and a couple of other ones as well. Pinky and the Brain will be returning to the series, ready to take over the world all over again. There we go. I love Pinky and the Brain. It's definitely, without a doubt, one of my favourite programmes from when I was younger. I used to really, really enjoy Pinky and the Brain. It's a show that you go and watch it back now. Go and watch it on YouTube or something like that, because you will see so many subtle references you did not clock as a kid. I remember looking at it about a year or so ago, and I remember watching an episode, and some of the stuff you hear on the radio in the background, some of the stuff you hear them discussing almost like sarcastically, there's a lot of political stuff in there. There's a lot of kind of like social satire in there. Definitely worth a watch. It's one of these very clever cartoons that does actually appeal to adults and kids. A lot of the time, kids are going to be watching it with adults. You know what I mean? It's going to be on the telly whilst the adults are in the room, so you need to have a way of making sure the adults aren't bored out of their skin, so they want to watch something else. There we go. It's an interesting way of putting things. So let's get into something a little bit more soulful this morning. This one coming from Tiana Blake. This one goes by the name of Monday. Excellent tune, this one, and it was a bit we heard over the weekend for Fresh Fridays. You can lock into Fresh Fridays every week. Myself and Duke Skull will be interviewing someone different who has new music out either that week or very, very recently. I'm going to let you know now who we have on this Friday. We do have Red Eye Hi-Fi, I believe, all the way from Manchester. We're going to be talking through their brand new album, which features the likes of Fox and a couple of other people as well. It's a really good looking album. We're going to be talking through the album, through their process, and again, coping mechanisms. That's what we're mainly looking at this weekend, this week more than anything else. We're going to be looking at coping mechanisms, how people are staying sane, how people are staying busy, and more than anything else, how people are staying entertained, because that's the thing. More than anything else, it's just boredom, really, isn't it? It's we as people, more than ever now, we like to have a routine, but we like to be able to stray away from that routine and it not be a big deal. That's what I'm finding with a lot of this stuff. We like to have a routine, but be free to move away from it. We don't want to be slaves to our routine. We want to be able to go, this is what I do every day, and I like being in a pattern. But you know what? I'm going to break the routine, and that's what's going to bring me some enjoyment and some happiness. So there we go. Let's get into this one though from Tiana Blake. It is a Monday morning. This one going by the name of Monday, so it's perfectly fitting. Out to the Locked In crew, it's Cub Cam TV. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button. Oh yes.
I feel like a puppet on a string, and my patience is dying to a thin, and my conscience keeps telling me me to quit. I'm ready to leave from the minute I clock in. But it ain't that easy. I can't bite the hand that feeds me. It's a constant battle in my head. I'm giving all my time away. I think that it is time to face. I can't keep walking towards a dead end. I'm losing my mind. I'm keeping myself locked up on the inside. I ain't looking forward to Monday. I think I might call in sick. I'm done with this shit. Watching the clock till the end of the shift. Hey, yeah. I ain't looking forward to Monday. I think I might call in sick. I'm done with this shit. Watching the clock till the end of the shift. I know that there's a way out, but I'm scared to go a different route. I'm lost, but I know I can't be found. I just gotta take the leap and leave it all behind me, yeah. I'm losing my mind.
Sounds of Tiana Blake on this one. New school soulful flavours. R&B rhythms in the place. Gonna be jumping on the phone with Mofaux in just a second, so don't go anywhere.
I'm done with this shit. Watching the clock till the end of the shift. Hey, yeah. I ain't looking forward to Monday. I think I might call in sick. I'm done with this shit. Watching the clock till the end of the shift. I've been working all week. No sleep for me. See, I've been working all week. No sleep for me. I've been working all week. No sleep for me. See, I've been working all week. No sleep for me. I ain't looking forward to Monday. I think I might call in sick. I'm done with this shit. Watching the clock till the end of the
Lovely way to start off the Monday morning. It's Brekky In The Cave. Myself, Kovu, in the hot seat, running through loads of different styles, different flavours. Out to D's Hens on the old hat. It's not an old hat; it's very new. Out to everyone who is doing bits for themselves during these troubling times. That's what I want to say. I think now is the time for learning. I keep saying it. Now is the time to pick up that hobby that you didn't ever get around to doing beforehand. It's time to find that thing that you enjoy doing more than anything else that you don't really have time to do normally. So we're going to be jumping into a conversation with Mofaux in literally about 3 minutes or so. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run one more banger, get him on the phone, and then we can start this conversation proper. It's going to be a very enjoyable 30 minutes of conversation or so, looking through everything he's involved in, as well as looking at not just what he's doing music-wise, but also looking at what he's doing essentially creative-wise, design-wise. He's got loads of stuff in the way, so it's going to be very nice indeed. So what we're going to do is jump into this one next. This is an exclusive from Jodan and Mind of a Dragon. I've got this one a little bit early from the Project All Out Gang. This one goes by the name of Reckless. Let's get into this one, and then let's get Mofaux on the phone. It's Cubcam TV. It's Brekky In The Cave.
Then we sponge your live down. Check it out now. Watch out. Watch out. Then we scooch your live down. Don't lie.
Right then, we are live inside the building. This is Cubcam TV. Massive shouts out to Mofaux joining me on the line this morning. How are you doing, sir?
Hello, mate. Yeah, I'm good. A little bit early for me during this quarantine season, but yeah, I'm adjusting.
Nice, man. Well, like, when you say it's a little bit early, what time are you normally getting up at the moment?
I mean, I'm trying to be up by like now.
Okay.
But it's becoming more and more difficult when I don't know, just gets on, doesn't it? And you think, well, what am I going to wake up for today?
Yeah, definitely.
Kind of, yeah.
I think, you know what it is? One of the reasons I'm doing this show on a regular basis is purely because I know if I don't have this, I will sleep forever. And
yeah, exactly.
I think more than anything else, if I was to do that and then we'd hit the end of this routine, and then go back to normality, I'd struggle so hard.
That's what I'm worried about. As I am a bit worried about that, so I need to get back into a routine anyway.
Good. Well, you know what you can do? You can wake up a little bit earlier and listen to this show, and then that'll wake you up.
Exactly.
That's a good way to do it. So, first of all, obviously, you were a guest on the Breakfast with KXVU show a little while ago, over on Tricky, which is now obviously temporarily on hold, which is sad, but it's necessary during these unusual times. But what I want to kind of get into is a bit of a conversation about what you've been up to in the meantime. Like, what have you been saying in the meantime?
What, between then and now?
Between
just a lot of music, really. Just a lot of kind of deciding, I suppose, what I want to do music-wise, because it is, I probably said it back then, but it's very kind of competitive, quite populated scene. Just bass music in general, not even just the kind of stuff I usually tend to do, like the housey kind of bass stuff. Just in general, it's just a massive scene. It's just getting bigger and bigger. So trying to find a bit of a niche, trying to hone down what I'm doing in my music to make it stand out more, if that makes more sense, because I think it's just getting harder and harder to stand out in amongst the kind of the scene at the minute. So yeah, pretty much just producing more and more music that probably will never see the light of day, but just just getting your sound right, and it's more practice than anything.
Okay, so like when you say like practice and it won't ever see the light of day, are you purposefully making stuff literally just to test your sort of like arsenal of production?
I mean, I've got a lot of tunes like most people do that are just half finished, but the reason is because I jump into it and I'll probably maybe spend a day, and I'll be really into this one sound, and I'll be trying to get decent sound design on it, and I might never use it for a tune, but it means now I know how to use those skills in the next tune I do. So it's because it got to a point in production where I've done the college, got the qualification ages ago, done all this and that, produced for so long now that I just kind of wanted to push the practice side of things and just not worry too much about the tune, because I've got so many tunes. Not stress out and put too much pressure on myself, and just work more on making it sound good, even if it is just really tight drum kit or really well mixed down, whatever. So yeah, just trying to get the individual elements so that, now perfect time is to then put them into tunes, really.
Definitely, man. And I think there's definitely something we can see. We're going to talk about the new single a little bit later on. But more than anything else, what would you say, like, as a producer, like looking at your own stuff, what would you say your strength is as a producer?
It's the worst question I've ever had.
Yeah, I know. You see, this is what we do. It's the first half an hour of the show stays nice and mellow. People are kind of like getting into things, and then I throw out questions like this because I want to know what is your favourite thing about your sound?
I don't know. I like it to be different, but then also have like old UK influences, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
Like you come from the almost the OG dubstep kind of era.
Definitely.
Like the prime when it was sick in the UK and it was thriving. So a lot of it like kind of comes from that almost grainy kind of sound, if that makes sense. So I really like recently I've been trying to it sounds weird, but trying to make a sound worse but better. So trying to
should we say not as clinical?
Yeah, pretty much. So almost in the same way that like you might distort something to make it sound, for lack of a better word, it does sound worse, but you control it, you make it sound better.
Of course. Almost to an extent like putting vinyl crackle behind an introduction.
Exactly. Vinyl crackle. I love a bit of vinyl crackle.
I love a bit of vinyl crackle.
Anything like that. I like. There's quite a few producers also doing similar things in making it sound a bit rustic and not so, because otherwise you're making these tunes, you're chucking them all these samples in, everyone's going to sound realistically the same.
Yeah,
even if you've got a different structure, if you're using the same samples, you're all on Splice, you're all on whatever, it's going to sound similar. So I like to kind of pull it back and see how far you can. Well, to an
extent, it's almost like a digital version of using like analog instruments.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. It's that. People kind of crave that analog sound, even if they don't know they do. A lot of people just tend to prefer that sound. It's a nice.
Well, it's a more. You know what it is? It's a more human sound more than anything else.
It's warmer. It's more. It sounds fuller, even though it's probably got less in it. But this is what I mean. Is that I've been trying to kind of find the sweet point. To try and get that kind of sound, but yeah, I don't know. Favourite part of what I do, it changes so much.
Yeah, of course. But you see, the reason I asked this question is because I feel no producer should be able to answer that straight away. I feel every producer, I feel every producer should kind of go, oh, I like this bit, but I'm not too sure about this bit, but I like this bit, because I think there's a certain amount of questioning you have to do as a producer. And I'll say it's the reason I'm not the biggest fan of making music myself anymore, is because I don't particularly like that process of constantly having to question myself. Which is what
it can be hard.
Which is essentially what makes you make stuff better a lot of the time, and it's sad, but it is part of the process. So obviously this morning we've got some bangers to play from yourself. Now the first tune we're going to play from you is a track that I was running on Trickstar years ago. It's a track that is in the sort of extended playlist system there, and it's a track that I'm actually very excited to play this morning because this is a tune that I do very much like from yourself. This track is your remix of 8-Track by TK Vicious. Talk to me about this track, how it came together, and the sort of influences behind it.
Yeah. So I just, I like this tune just because it's, for me, for my own back catalogue, it's a bit of a throwback now, which is crazy to think, really. But TK, I think it was either TK or the label approached me, and it's on, I want to say Strictly Flavour.
Yeah, I think it is. And you know, the maddest thing about this is Strictly Flavour now, one of my favourite labels, but I remember this being the first release I'd ever seen from them.
Oh, decent. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, to be honest, I knew they did a bit of garage with, I forget a couple of the people on there, but when I see them, it reminds me. But, I think they approached me, or TK approached me, and yeah, just pretty much just sent me the tune, and I heard that vocal, that like cool, I don't know, like American-y woman vocal at the beginning. I thought, yeah, go for it. That's a bit of me.
Do you know what I want to say? I want to say red lighty vocal.
It is, yeah. He's kind of he's kind of got that now, hasn't he?
Yeah.
You can say a red light vocal if it's just a girl kind of talking.
Yeah,
we'll be
literally.
like, yeah, red light, yes, red light.
If you've got like colourful synthesizers going back and forth over wobbly drums, you can say it sounds like Kate Trinada. If you've got if you've got like a female talking like monotone, slightly electronified. I don't know what the word is, but then that's a red light tune. But yeah, no, definitely.
Exactly. So yeah, that's why I jumped on it, mainly because of that vocal at the beginning. But then yeah, the original is really cool, and I wanted to make it a bit of a just really fun more than anything.
I'd say that. I'd say this is definitely a fun tune. And when I did put it into the tricky playlist, the reason I did it was because this is a tune that can be played at any time, and like I said, it's a tune that injects energy into whatever room it gets played in.
It makes me, when I play it in a set, because it's kind of an older one now, I'll usually laugh because I find it really fun. Like it's just a funny tune. Like I'll look at like, I don't know, Chris Tenku or someone that's next to me or something, and we just laugh because old tune is just fun one. We just all be dancing.
Definitely, man. And maybe that's something that has been lost a little bit in the sort of bass scene. The fun element. That's what we all like, you know what I mean? We all like the fun.
Anyway, I get you.
Let's get into this one then. Don't go anywhere. It's just gone 41 minutes past 10 here. Make sure you are subscribing to the channel. This is Cubcam TV. It's Brekky In The Cave. A man like Mofaux joins me on the line.
Have you ever been in a Bentley Corniche? Your legs dangle off pale leather seats, and it has lamps especially for passengers seated in the back. It also has an 8-track tape player, which is fine. An 8-track tape player, which is fine. It has an 8-track tape player, which is fine. An 8-track tape player, which is fine. It has an 8-track tape player, which is fine. An 8-track tape player, which is fine. It has an 8-track tape player, which is fine. An 8-track tape player, which is fine. It has an 8-track tape player, which is fine. An 8-track tape player, which is fine. It has an 8-track tape player, which is fine. An 8-track tape player, which is fine. It has an 8-track tape player, which is fine. An 8-track tape player, which is fine. It has an 8-track tape player, which is fine. An 8-track tape player, which is fine. It has an 8-track tape player, which is fine. An 8-track tape player, which is fine. It has an 8-track tape player, which is fine. An 8-track tape player, which is fine. An 8-track tape player, which is fine. Which is fine. It has an 8-track tape player with 8-track tape player with fine. 8-track tape player with 8-track tape player, which is fine. 8-track tape player with 8-track tape player with fine. 8-track tape player with 8-track tape player, which is fine. 8-track tape player, which is fine. 8-track tape player with fine. 8-track tape player with 8-track tape player, which is fine. 8-track tape player with 8-track tape player with fine. 8-track tape player with 8-track tape player, which is fine. 8-track player with 8-track tape player, which is fine. 8-track tape player with 8-track tape player with fine. 8-track tape player with 8-track tape player, which is fine. 8-track tape player with fine. 8-track tape player with 8-track tape player, which is fine. 8-track tape player with 8-track tape player with fine. 8-track tape player with 8-track tape player, which is fine. Have you ever been in a Bentley Corniche? Your legs dangle off pale leather seats, and it has lamps especially for passengers seated in the back. It also has an 8-track tape player, which is fine. An 8-track tape player, which is fine. It has an 8-track tape player, which is fine. An 8-track tape player, which is fine. It has an 8-track tape player, which is fine. An 8-track tape player, which is fine. It has an 8-track tape player, which is fine. 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 It has an 8-track tape player, which is fine. An 8-track tape player, which is fine. It has an 8-track tape player, which is fine. An 8-track tape player, which is fine. It has an 8-track tape player, which is fine. An 8-track tape player, which is fine. It has an 8-track tape player, which is...
Right then, we are live on the line with man like Mofaux. Out to the locked in crew this morning. We are on the phone. We're talking through loads of different bits. You are live on the Cub line. Out to everyone who's clocked the little subtle change we've put on the screen here on the show. So, man like Mofaux joins us. That one there, one of the funner tunes of the, I'd say, of your catalogue. And it's definitely a tune that I will continue to play on radio when I'm playing out. It's just a tune that's full of fun, you know what I mean? And we briefly touched on it beforehand, but I do kind of want to look at this idea that maybe would you say the fun's gone out of a lot of bass music?
Hopefully not. It's tricky because you'll get one side of things where you have a tune that is full like top level production, super, I don't know, call it serious if you want, but it is just bass music, pure and simple, really well productive. And you probably wouldn't say that tune is necessarily too much fun if it sounds like a really serious tune. And on the other hand, you get those crazy wobbly like Off My Nut, that kind of sound is just one example of really fun tunes. I would say my latest release that I think you'll touch on later is also a kind of fun one, which is why I tried to get artwork that was quite bright, and I tried to make it a bit more of a fun release as well. But yeah, I think people can get way too serious with music and forget that the main objective is to make people dance and have a good time.
I mean, it's in the title, isn't it? Dance music, you know what I mean?
This is the thing. We all have kind of a range. Well, hopefully we get a bit of a range of music that we can produce that should hopefully range between the two of really fun and really kind of techie. But yeah, it's tricky. I think who can I say? I think Zero is actually doing a good job.
Of finding that balance between the two.
Yeah, because I think his, along with his online personality as well, is very fun, and his music, the actual technical ability, high level, because it's like crisp basses, tight drums, but the melodies and the structure, it is fun. So I think that's the kind of thing people should be, not necessarily ripping his sound, but that level of high production and the actual dance music.
Yeah, not forgetting that people you want people to move, to jump around to it. Essentially, you want people to throw limbs to it, realistically.
Yeah, a song that makes someone angry or whatever is all well and good, but if you don't have at least a couple of tunes that's going to make someone dance in the dance, then I mean, it's not going to be the best set in the world. Do
you know what the thing about that I find funny about that as well is, obviously you were saying earlier, we're both people that come from that sort of earlier era of kind of of dance music in the UK, where sort of electronic music that wasn't essentially 4x4 was was always king to an extent, because pretty much the two big things at the time were really dubstep and D&B. At the time, they were the two big things. Like house was obviously floating around still, but it was pretty much house. It was pretty much dubstep and D&B were the two sort of big things that everyone was following. Grime was in there as well, but the thing with Grime's always just kind of floating around that
Grime's
sort of
always there. Yeah.
And you always get like the PAs and stuff like that. But I remember it being pretty much just dubstep and drum and bass were the two things. And I remember the thing about those dances were you had mood, you had like a sort of moody element to them, but people would always, there'd be drinks flying all the time.
Mate, those nights were some of the best nights I've had. Like, some of the nights in Brighton, the dubstep nights, the energy compared to, I mean, not to put down any single event I've been to since then, because there's been a lot.
Yeah, I was going to say.
There's definitely, I mean, some gigs are ridiculously sick, but the difference between the scene, like the vibe of all going to like, what are those massive ones that used to be like Concord Project? Was it Project All Out or something like that?
No, there was Dub Pressure. There was
Dub Pressure, Dub Pressure, and all those, like they were sick. Like all those nights in the Volks and that the vibe was just. I would say drum and bass probably still has that.
Yeah, I think it does.
Yeah, because they're like drum and bass is like a cult. Like it's so, drum and bass is drum and bass. They are staple. But with dubstep and it kind of went in and out, and that fun scene was probably one of the best kind of scenes I've been involved in.
Definitely, man. So something that I do want to talk about next, and we touched on it very briefly, is the new single. This one is No Guest List. So talk to me about this. Talk to me about the tune. Talk to me about the timing of it, putting it out. Talk to me about the kind of vibe you went for. Like the design of the single. Talk to me about everything.
So No Guest List. Yeah, started this one quite a few months ago now, four months, something like that. Didn't take me too long. Sometimes you have those tunes and you're just vibing off them and you get it finished and that's done. That was kind of one of those tunes. Again, I wanted to make it fun, but then I wanted some interesting synthesis in there. So the main kind of, I don't know, I have no idea what to call it, which is usually a good sign about a bass sound. It's like a whistly, bassy, saturated sound thing. Kind of just sounds like bassy air. It's like the main.
What's that, like speaker box air?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose so. Yeah, it's you have to just listen. Everyone go listen to it. But it's it's like the first bit. So I just wanted I wanted it to be fun. So it was kind of an upbeat house tune. It has kind of techie house elements in a way, in that there's like a synth thing that kind of comes in again and just kind of sustains throughout the beat. It's all, the structure, I would say, is kind of a nice mix between bassy, but UK based house and that kind of techier side of things. I think it started with the vocal, the no guest list sample, which I like to do because I like that if you don't know, if you're kind of stuck for inspiration, if you try and look for your first sample, just to, even if you don't keep it in, it just gives you an overall idea.
Definitely, man.
So I did that.
Well, we're gonna get into this one now. And then afterwards we'll kind of talk about like what's happened with it, how the response has been, and stuff like that. Out to everyone locked in right about now, make sure you are hitting that subscribe button. This is the Cubcam TV YouTube channel. Man like Mofaux joins us on the line. Leave a little comment in the chat box. Out to Tengu locked in. How are you doing this morning, sir? And yeah, let's have a bit of a conversation. If you've got any questions for man like Mofaux, please do leave them or hit me up on a private, just so we've got a bit more conversation to talk about. You know what I mean? This one is the brand new single, however, goes by the name of No Guest List. We're going to be getting into this one now and then moving on to a couple of other things that man has been up to, so don't go anywhere.
No guest list tonight, night.
again, guys. We are live on the line with man like Mofaux. He joins us this morning on the phone. It's Brekky In The Cave, and Mofaux's on the cub line, as you can see on the screen. So what we're going to be talking about next is, obviously, you are primarily a producer, but something that I've kind of been following you for a fair few years as well is the more sort of graphic side of things, because it's very clear you're someone who cares, who not necessarily cares very much about, but like has an interest in the visual element of like branding and sort of like a visual element of essentially music's scene more than anything else. Like, is this something you've always had?
I wouldn't say. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess so. Just like a lot of people who are in school and now, I did art, like art GCSE, did a bit of art, did a bit of graphics AS level, like just bits and bobs, like here and there, and was really kind of into it before music. Loved just drawing, nothing serious at all, but just loved it. And then no idea why, but over the years, kind of taught myself Photoshop and that. I mean, without really realising, because I've got no idea why I ever taught myself or how I know the things I know, but I do, so it's good. But yeah, illustrations, I love it. So I do like how you said it like reflects the scene, or like I like the idea. I like people that have sick artwork. Like it just adds and just kind of finishes off the release. If you have a sick tune, sick artwork, if you've got a decent video, even better. But it's just, you want that kind of pack nowadays just to keep people interested, and I find it super fun to do anyway.
Wicked, man. So like obviously it's something you found yourself doing a lot more during this sort of this sort of time now. Like what, like with your releases and stuff, do you design your own artwork a lot of the time if you're doing a self-release?
Yeah, so apart from my own stuff, so I used to do, I do a few, and I don't know if you do know, but a couple of years ago I got kind of into that, like drawing over pictures. So there'd be a picture of me DJing, I'd do some like really cool like slime or something coming off it.
Yeah,
like
I remember, man. I remember.
You know, yeah, that kind of stuff. Like when I look at it now, I think, what was I doing? But people still like it, so it's one of those things. But I only got into it properly now since literally the lockdown, pretty much. I think you said you were off for a week extra before this was started. I was as well. Okay. Because I had a week off. I had a week holiday booked anyway, not to go anywhere, luckily, but just to stay here. But I had a cough, and I was like, well, I'm not going to risk. Why would I risk going out when I've got a week off anyway? I've got a cough. I'm going to try and be a sensible guy here and be a bit ahead of the game. So I stayed home myself, and obviously it was nothing, but stayed home. And I just thought, yeah, I got this, like, I've got Sketchpad. I just started to do some doodles and that. And then for no guest list, I did the little guy, which is just like yellow background, and then this kind of like, if anyone knows that OG Mickey Mouse style, which is like 1930s kind of Steamboat Mickey kind of cartoons. And I just got really into them. I just started doodling, and I thought, yeah, this one's good enough for me. And then after putting that out, people started to come to me. A lot of my stuff before, I've got a mate, Ben, who is a sick graphic designer. He doesn't do much illustration, but he has helped with loads of my videos before, like artwork, like the actual graphic side of it. Yeah, so he's taught me a lot as well, I've got a friend, Amy, who's sick at illustration. So I've got people around me who are good at all these individual things. So they've kind of all taught me. And now the commissions are just rolling in the past like week.
Wicked. So this is something that is kind of like taking off then to an extent.
Yeah, man. Yeah, at least as far as I can tell. And I would say, I mean, I did. I've done a bit for Darksy. He's actually got it. If anyone wants to see anything, Darksy's got it as his Instagram picture right now.
Very nice.
He's going to get it he's getting it tattooed on his body as well, which is a bit nuts.
Hang on. So you've pretty much since you've kind of been pushing it as more of like a serious thing, and like the commissions have been rolling in, someone's already got a tattoo of one of your designs.
This is it. So he asked me. I put a picture up. I can't even remember what picture. I just put something. I made another Instagram page for my designs. Just called it like Mo Designs for now. It will probably end up changing, but just to get the page there, put up a couple of things, just a couple of doodles, and then he messaged me asking me to do so I did, and you're gonna get that tattooed on him apparently as well, on his leg, I think. So keep an eye out for that, which is crazy.
That's madness, man.
It is mad. The feedback I've been getting is really good. Like Manu Leng loved the thing I did for them, and he wants to print it, like to to get it in like frame or whatever, and just all these things, all these commissions coming in from people. I'm like, well, I didn't expect it, but I think what it is that there's not that many people doing it in our scene.
What, as in more the sort of illustration side of things rather than like
illustration side? Yeah. Graphics is one thing. Like I can do graphics if someone wants artwork whipped up or a cover photo, whatever. Graphics is one thing, but then illustration, it puts an extra level of like pressure, I think, on yourself, because you've got to be super creative, and a lot of the time come up with like a character or draw it freehand, and then you're going to have to use either like a tablet or put it on Illustrator or something like that, and it's quite a techie job. Yeah. And I think people appreciate that. Like, it kind of does make you stand out. I mean, for my release that isn't out yet, it's going to be out. I might self-release this tune next month or something, but I actually got a different artist to do mine for me, because I like other people to do mine. Yeah. Because I just think it's just fun to work with people. Like, I love drawing for people, and I like people drawing for me. Yeah. So, of course. Yeah, it just mixes it up a bit, doesn't it? I find it really interesting. Okay, well, this is an interesting thing. Are you finding having that extra avenue is somewhat of a coping mechanism for the current scenario? Probably, yeah. I mean, it's difficult to put this without sounding like an idiot, but I wasn't worried about this isolation whatsoever, really. Obviously, the whole situation is terrible, but the actual having to stay home, I never found it a problem. Most producers and that probably stay home 90% of the time anyway. It's getting harder now, but yeah, I think with music, graphics, illustration, I live with my girlfriend, I've got an Xbox, it's not as if I've got nothing to keep me entertained. So I do think now the time off, the fact that I'm not working my day job really is the reason I did the illustrations, because I don't know, I find you come home from a day job and you got no inspiration to do anything. Having all this time off is just making me super creative, and I love it. Wicked, so, yeah, just been doing loads of it. Wicked, man. It's really cool to see. I've just gone onto Darksy's Instagram. I can see the picture. It's really cool. And I can definitely see that sort of early, sort of, as you say, Steamboat Mickey, that sort of influence on it more than anything else. It's kind of like the big wide eyes and like the... Yeah. And almost like quite like gaunt expression of everything. That one is, yeah. I haven't actually got... Because I haven't been doing the illustration stuff for long at all in the long run. Like, say, compared to how long I've been doing music, illustration is nothing in comparison. But I don't think I've yet to find my specific style. Okay. So for now, I'm just drawing lots of different type of styles that I enjoy, seeing how they come out, and people are digging it. And then I'm thinking eventually that will lead to one kind of specific style that people will know me for if I carry on. But for now, I'm just having fun with it, drawing kind of what people want. And yeah, people are liking it. Wicked, man. Well, I mean, it's always good to hear. I always like to hear about people like discovering new things. And obviously, one of the big themes we have on this show, more than anything else, is people. Obviously, this show is built out of necessity of the current times. So it's the themes I try to put onto this show are like, how can people like find ways to pass the time? How can people find new skills? How can people almost like develop themselves into doing new things? So would you say you've definitely found? It's not even that you found it, because it's something you've always been interested in. But would you say this has given you almost like an opportunity to an extent? 100%. It's more like a nothing to lose. I think the thing is, I almost feel like, because I'm in my house, I can't go out and socialise or anything. Say, for instance, I put out all these pictures, or I do something and it all flops and don't like it and whatever. I pull that down. No one ever really needs to know. We don't need to talk about it. People will probably forget by the time we're out of this isolation. So I'm seeing this as almost like a free time. Like, if you've got anything that you weren't 100% sure about, like you're doubting yourself, like it's same with music. Before you get feedback from music, of course you're going to doubt yourself. If you're not doubting yourself, or if you're not questioning your music, then you probably need to. You want to be better. Well, you're probably not likely to improve. I think that's the best thing. This is it, exactly. Yeah, you'll stay stagnant. But the thing with drawing is that it's not alien to me, but it's alien to people. People comparing it to me, like people don't know me as someone that does drawing and that, and so it was kind of daunting putting the first couple of pictures up, because drawing is one of those things that it's very either like it or you're like, what is that? I just thought, well, who cares? Like if it doesn't go well, it's just another thing that that you just kind of laugh about one day, and that's that. So I just think this time, anyone that has any sort of hobby or anything they're not too sure about, or they want to try and take a bit of a risk, do it now. Just do it now. People need things to be entertained with right now. Like, people need entertainment.
Oh, wicked. Well, there we go. Right, we're going to finish up this interview in just a second, but I tell you what, this has been a real pleasure. It's been really good to talk to you this morning, man. Cool. What are you up to for the rest of the day, then?
Probably go back to bed. No, I'm joking now. I've got a couple commissions I actually need to do. A couple characters for people I'm drawing. I've got like a YouTube banner and bits like that to do for people, and I'll probably end up doing a little bit of music later as well. Got a few tunes. I think I'll probably set up a plan for releases later. That's my plan.
Good stuff. But this is the thing, though, that it's just kind of popped into my head as like a sort of a thing. This is for a lot of people, especially musicians, and especially sort of freelance musicians or freelance creatives who maybe have a day job at the same time. This is actually quite a good simulation for what their lives could be like if they were getting paid 100%. A wage to do this.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how I saw it. I said it on the first day, that kind of there was even a hint of the fact that we might not, like, people might have to stop going to work. I said that this is just like practice. I said I'm going to try and cram as much in now, see if I can generate any funds to kind of get this as a bit of this could be potentially what it will be like if I were to go full-time creative. So minus the illness and the horrible stuff.
Yeah, of course.
I'm loving it. Yeah, I'm
awesome,
loving it,
man. Well, that's good to hear. I like to hear about people like making the most out of scenarios. It's something that I always take my hat off to people who make the most out of what they're doing.
Definitely.
So we're going to finish up with a track called Home. Now, this one was released quite recently. Talk to me about this one.
So this one's out on South Point. This is part of my EP released not too long ago, end of last year.
Yeah.
And this was the last tune on the EP, and it's a bit of a chiller one, bit of a darker kind of break beat kind of one. And it's called Home, so it's quite relevant that we're all stuck inside our houses.
Definitely.
So good play.
You know what? As I was saying earlier, when we were off the microphone, I was saying this is definitely. I didn't clock that was the kind of meaning, but it works really, really well. Dude,
I thought so.
It's been an absolute pleasure having you on this morning. Best of luck with everything. Do keep me updated with sort of graphics work and stuff like that. It's going to be really cool to see how that all progresses. So have a good day, man.
Nice one. You too, man.
Nice one, man. I'll catch you in a bit, sir.
All right. Cheers, fella.
Bless. So, we're going to jump into this one next from Mofaux. This one goes by the name of Home. Massive shouts out to all the Locked In crew this morning. If you had been locked in specifically for that interview, make sure you are hitting the like button on the video. Make sure you are subscribing to the channel. There's loads of new content coming this week. I'm going to be running through the guests that we are going to be joined by this week, and it's a very varied bunch, so it should be really, really enjoyable indeed. Don't go anywhere. It's KXVU TV. This is Brekky In The Cave.
Hey, dude, if you get yours, get yours and get out. Get your money, take your winnings and go home, go home, go home, go home, go Hey, dude, if you get yours, get yours. Get yours and get out. And get your money. Take your winnings and go home, go home, go home, go home. Switch.
Sounds of the Mofaux on this one. Absolutely wicked tune. I'm not saying that because we put it out either. Maybe I am. Now, wicked tune this one. Go and check out the full EP. Make It Go. One of the biggest dance tunes of last year. Let's be real. So what have we got on the way for the rest of the show? We're going to be letting you know exactly who's going to be joining us over the next few days. There we go, we're no longer on the cub line. I'm going to rearrange my camera as well, because at the minute I'm having to fully strain to be in the middle of the screen. And I don't want to be fully straining the entire time. It's the morning. I want to be relaxed. Out to man like Tengu, what's good? As I said before, if you are locked in, please do make sure you're leaving a little comment in the chat box. Ups the reach of the show, means more people can listen and more people can enjoy exactly what is going on. So out to all the locked in crew this morning, as I said before, make sure you are hitting that subscribe button. The more subs we get, the more reach we get, the bigger guests we can get, and the better interviews we can do. That's like the plan. As I was saying earlier, this is a channel that's been built out of necessity. I do normally run a breakfast show over on Trickstar Radio, but as for obvious reasons, I'm unable to get in at the moment, so we are still interviewing people every morning, Monday to Friday. I'm trying to have a guest every single day. And then, yeah, and looking at loads of different styles of music. Let's get into who we are going to be joined by this week then. Tomorrow, I'm going to be joined by a data journalist friend of mine, a guy called Michael Goodyear, who I've known for a long period of time, one of the original members of the Soapbox group, which pretty much built one of the biggest blogs in Brighton to begin with. I was also a member of that. I was pretty much involved in the sort of sound element of things, and as well as that, I was sort of involved with the written element as well. Did a lot of writing for Soapbox in the early days. He's going to be joining me tomorrow to talk about how this current scenario has affected him as a journalist and what he's had to change about his scenario. Wednesday, I'm going to be joined by Forcer, one of the most prominent MCs floating around UK bass culture. Does his own stuff, obviously, but is primarily known by a lot of people for his work in sort of bass music, being that vocalist a lot of the time. Works very heavily with Deadbeat and a number of other kind of big UK based names. Thursday, we've got an absolute bumper show. We're going to be joined by Duplock, one of the biggest, if not the biggest, dubstep imprints floating around right now. The hosts of the Dubstep Awards, and of course they have the label side of things, as well as doing premieres. There's just so much they're doing. So we're going to be talking to them on the show on Thursday morning. As well as that, we're also going to be joined by a man like Craft D, the current Don't Flop champion. After taking a win a few weeks ago, I thought it'd be a good idea to get him on the phone, have a bit of a discussion about what he's got going on, and yeah, just kind of look into battle rapping as a whole. Obviously, he's one of the faces of the UK scene as it stands, so it'd be good to talk to him about what he's got going on. It should be very enjoyable indeed. Then Friday, we're going to be moving into the interview with Red Eye Hi-Fi for Fresh Fridays. Duke Sky will join us as well as we look through the brand new releases that have been put out that day, or throughout the week, of course, looking through our favourites and crowning our freshest fry. That is a system directly stolen from what we did at Trickstar. We're keeping the vibe going. As I've said before, this is pretty much a placeholder show for the time being until we are able to get back into that Trickstar studio, which I'm very much looking forward to doing. But yeah, for the time being, we're going to jump into some more bangers. So, what do we have on the way? This next one coming from Big Swings. This one is Moon Yeah Yeah, featuring Jay Leone. Smooth flavours this morning here on the Cubcam YouTube channel. Out to all the locked in crew. It's been a very enjoyable show so far this morning. Massive shouts out to Mofaux. Let's get into this one.
M40 with an O, I keep telling them. Hey man, you got my money, hoes? You got my money, hoes?
Yeah, yeah, I need the money, the moon, yeah, yeah. That kind of the goose, the moon clear, yeah. Now they give me, ooh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, I need the money, the moon, yeah, yeah. That kind of the goose, the moon clear, yeah. Now they give me, ooh, yeah, yeah. Jugging and trapping. Keep Woody in the attic. 2 pumps, asthmatic. If they
My shorty bad, I got standards. Ain't talking shit, she get pampered. She suck with no manners.
Made it rain, no umbrellas. From the jungle, the favelas. Jug for the moon, yeah. Got hits locked dancing in letters.
I don't wanna leave a mumsy in tethers. He got a hat mask and some levers. My bird fly with no feathers. I'm in the third side with my brothers.
Eating pasta in Paris with a bad bitch from Manhattan. Yeah, we get up, but we lavish. Remember dead vocals embarrassed.
I need a box, Ricky Hatton. Get the guap, get the racks in. Hit the block, get the trap in. Get the cash, put it back in.
Yeah. I need the money, the moon, yeah. That kind of the goose, the moon clear, yeah. Now they give me, ooh, yeah. I need the money, the moon, yeah. That kind of the goose, the moon clear, yeah. Now they give me, ooh, yeah. Move. All I need is a room. It cost an arm and leg for them shoes. Plant the seed that we grew.
True, now I got shiny red on my lube. Man just hit the strip with my goons. I want that money, actually I'm through.
Whoa, she got candy up her nose. Gave her a picture and she froze. I ain't talking about a post.
Whoa, she go up and down on that pole. I give her can send her back home. I rep that third side, yeah, that's pole.
I ain't trying hard, this is practice. In the field cause I'm match fit. Got a shooting score with some hat chicks. She forward back and I catch it.
We duck undercovers, no blanket. Tell man quote a price and I'll match it. Talking bad, I catch him in traffic. Got money, round me, I'm active.
Yeah. I need that money to move, yeah. I need that money to move, yeah. I need the money to move.
Sounds of Big Swings and Jay Leone on this one.
The money to move, yeah.
Moon, yeah.
Madness, talking but don't back. Make that
wicked flavours on this one.
Takes back flips on tap with no.
It's Cupcam TV. It's Brekky In The Cave.
Jamaica, rap the plastic, grab it, get the phone, be my trap. Play your role like an actress.
Yeah. I need the money to move, yeah. That kind of the goose to move, yeah. That just give me, ooh, yeah. I need the money to move, yeah. That kind of the goose to move, yeah. That just give me, ooh, yeah. I need the money to move, yeah. That kind of the goose to move, yeah. That just give me, ooh, yeah. I need the money to move, yeah. That kind of the goose to move, yeah. That just give me, ooh, yeah. Looking in traffic.
Wicked flavours on this one coming from Big Swings and Jay Leone. Moon, yeah. As I said before, please do make sure you are sending new music over to me. We can put stuff on here, we can review it, we can talk about it, we can have a conversation about different flavours, different styles, and different takes, you know what I mean? There's loads of different things we talk about, and obviously this show is primarily focused around, realistically, it's primarily focused around the sort of UK music style. There's a lot of UK based stuff on here, there's a lot of UK garage, but we do look at everything. As I said, we're going to be looking deeper into dubstep this week. We're going to be looking into a bit of historical stuff tomorrow, obviously, because Michael is a friend of mine who I've known for a long period of time. We've gone for a lot of different eras of music together. He did actually used to produce himself as well under the name Magnesium, so there we go. We should be talking about dubstep tomorrow. That's what we'll be doing. So we've got loads of new music on the way, and we've got a couple more bits of news as well that I want to get to. Who's seen the new Rick and Morty trailer? Very odd. But it's Rick and Morty, so it's going to be odd. I think that I found it very unusual because they're pretty much just essentially the main point of the show now is the fact that there are lots of Ricks and lots of Mortys. That's pretty much the plot line that seems to be running. The infinite Rick and Morty storyline seems to be like the main thing that everyone's going into at the moment, which I'm very, very excited about because it means we're going to get to see Evil Morty again, who is without a doubt one of the most fascinating characters of the whole show. I really like the fact they've kind of built this entire universe around pretty much the infinite Rick theory, which is really, really cool. And yeah, it's just a very enjoyable program. So to see the new trailer was very exciting. It's very kind of I'm pretty sure it's sort of like it's based around like samurai styles and stuff, and obviously the animation and sound design on it is all very, very very sort of samurai, which is very, very cool to see. But yeah, it was a nice kind of reference. What they do very, very well actually is put together really cool references. They're not necessarily a program that will be that sort of pop culture-y, but their reference game is very, very good, and they'll always find like interesting things to kind of draw comparisons to, which I really, really enjoy. As a fan, that's something I really enjoy. I like kind of deep-rooted references and stuff like that, and throwbacks to previous things in the series. So what we're going to get into next is this one from Idris Miles. This one goes by the name of Full. Wicked tune. I got sent this one over at the weekend, and it's an absolute banger, so we're going to waste no time getting into this one. It's Cubcam TV. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button. Bang.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't know. They just wanna see me fool, but they don't know it's yeah. Hey, they don't know. They just wanna see me fool, but they don't know it's yeah. Hey, about to send them to the morgue this year. I want more this year. Oliver twist mode this year. Oliver let them go this year. Yeah, I want a tour this year. Surrounded by groupies and all of them groupies, man. I won an award this year. Yeah, anybody manifesting an L can keep it to themselves, but I'm down to win. I don't know what kind of crowd you're in. I don't know what kind of clown you is, but I don't f with that. Really, I ain't down for it. When that went over your head, do I really have to tell them again? I was talking about clowns and I said I ain't down for it. Ha. I got powers in my pencil. I got demons in my mantle. Quit my ciggy for a manful. I spit fresh, dreadful. But I got passion, bro, a head full. I don't really have to tell you. I do this for me, man, I care for you. You get air. Yeah, put your cups in the air. King back to make him a toast. And I'm not talking about bread, but we do the most. Break fast on your goals, yeah. We can walk, but tons of that come for your soul like ducks do with oats. I'm a boss like Hove, it's cool, you're sourdough, right? It's bait, it shows, ayy. And that boat, the only time I use codes. Tell the man where to roll, the only time I do roll. Swear down, that's no joke, ayy. I'm just trying to make it home with a healthy balance of my bros, but they don't wanna see me win. They rather have me in smoke. Weird flex, I don't know. Hey, they don't know. They just rather see me fool, but they don't know it's who. Yeah, they don't know. They just wanna see me fool, but they don't know it's who. Yeah, whoa, wait, pause. Weird flex. They don't wanna see me there, rather see me in the flesh. They just wanna see me dead. They don't need it there. Yeah. Tell me what? Call me instead of a text. Yeah. I be the king, I tell them. Yeah. That's me. Hey. That's cool. Yeah. They don't know. They just wanna see me fool, but they don't know it's who. Yeah. Hey. They don't know. They just wanna see me fool, but they don't know it's true.
Sounds of Idris Miles on that one, going by the name of Fool. And that's going to be the second to last one from me today. It's been a very enjoyable show so far. And I want to say a massive shout out to everyone who has been locked in. It's been quite high listenership today. There's been loads of people floating in and out of the concurrent listeners, which is very cool to see. Thanks to everyone who is locking in. And I've said before, we hit 100 subs over the weekend. So I want to say a massive shout out to everyone who has taken part in the growth of this channel. Everyone who's subscribing, everyone who's liking the page. The more subscribers we get, as I've said before, the better guests with the better sort of interviews we can do with bigger names or whatever. So the more people we get on the channel, the better. You know what I mean? That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to provide enjoyable, listenable, early morning content for you guys to really kind of start the day as though it was normal. You know what I mean? A lot of the kind of radio shows that a lot of people would be listening to in the morning are kind of ceased, and we're making a massive effort to carry on with that sort of breakfast show vibe, which we've kind of built up over the last year and a half or so. But yeah, make sure you are checking out all the other videos that are floating around on the channel. There's a new Third Age video coming out today, I believe. That'll be dropping at around 6ish. As well as that, there was a new drop from Duke Sky on Saturday to celebrate the 100 subscribers. That was an archive set, which we are hoping to do a few more of when lockdown is relinquished, so we can start recording a few more cave sessions in that little booth over there, which should be very enjoyable indeed. As well as that, we're also going to be looking into doing a couple more sort of live videos, like going out and doing a bit more sort of video documentary sort of stuff. I want to go to a few more events and interview people live at the events and just do a bit more, you know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to do a little bit more for the channel. I don't want it to just be me talking in the mornings. Obviously, we've added the gaming element, we've added the sort of archive element, and now I want to try and add as much live stuff as possible as soon as we are back to normal. So you're probably going to be able to catch me floating around backstage at different venues and different bits like that. So there we go. Massive shout out to everyone who has been locked in this morning. As I said before, we're going to be finishing up the show with this one. It's a personal favourite of mine, a tune that I've discovered during this lockdown period, which is really sticking with me as one of my favourites. This one goes by the name of Soweto Blues. It is Jules Basiswa and Jazz Karis. Thanks to everyone that's locked in, and I will see you guys in the morning. Don't go anywhere. Hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye.
darkness of the world escape your eyes. Give it all away, it ain't meant for your life. Says one to no one. You got issues, baby. You got issues. You got issues, baby. You got issues, we got issues, yeah. Don't wanna talk about it, don't wanna leave without it. Give me a night without it. Don't wanna talk about it, don't wanna leave without it. Give me a night without it. You be like this, so call me when you lonely. You gave me love to heart when you need it. Just say the word and I'll come running to you. You be like this, so call me when you lonely.
It's on a Vivi. 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 It's on a Vivi.
Don't wanna talk about it, don't wanna leave without it. Give me a night without it. Don't wanna talk about it, don't wanna leave without it. Give me a night without it. You be like this, so call me when you know it. You gave me love to heart when you need it. Just say the word and I'll come running to you. You be like this, so call me when you know it.
If you find we can make it, you mistake, it's fine. Ooh, if you find we can make it, you mistake, it's fine. Ooh,
Jules, baby.
it's on a Vivi. 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 It's on a Vivi.